Hey there friends, welcome to the shop. I want to show you a neat tool that I have. This is my paint masking tool. Basically, it's got a roll of paper and a roll of tape on it, and when you pull it out, it combines the two, and then you rip it off and you get a piece of paper with a piece of tape on it. I was only able to get a tiny bit here because my paper is low and I need to replace it. So I'm going to replace both of them. I've got a fresh roll of paper here, and I've got a roll of tape here. And I just grabbed these from the hardware store. This tool, I've seen it on Amazon. You have to buy this ripping part separately. I don't know why, but it's this 3M M3000 hand masker tool with the paper blade on it. Anyway, just on Amazon. It's the sort of thing where like it's designed for wall painting, like you do your trim with this. But I use it mostly to cover large areas on props or costumes. So I'll do delicate masking around an edge, and then I'll cover the rest of it with my paper. It makes work so much faster. I love this thing. So I'm just gonna pop this stuff off. This paper tube I think is just snugged on there. There we go. And then the new one can go on there. There we go. So this will go like that, I think. I put that on backwards. Anyway, I learned about this tool from my buddy Frank Ippolito. I went and worked for him a few years ago, did a job for about a week in his shop, and he had one of these, and I got to use it there, and I got very used to using it, so as soon as I got home I went and bought one. So the roll of paper is there, the roll of tape goes here, just snugs on, and I think you can just stick it on there and then, ha! Just like that. It's all set up to go again. I use this on so many projects where just having a piece of paper like this can be handy for masking. And usually what I'll do with these is I will, like, let's say I'm painting a gun. Hold on, I have a gun right here. Look at that, how handy. Let's say I'm painting this gun and I've masked off this side, right? And I masked off the rest of it with more paper. Then I spray my paint on there and I'm like, that looks good, and I let it dry for a little bit, and then I take this off and I save it, and I do the other side and I put this back on. Again, just to cover the bulk of it, and while the good tape, my Tamiya tape that I keep right here, this will be used to actually go in and mask off the edges. So yeah, I will frequently rip off a bunch of these for a large prop and just reuse them half a dozen times until they're so saturated with paint they need to be thrown away, or until the tape runs out. But yeah, anyway, this is, I guess, a tool story. This super duper handy tool for painting. I love it. I use it with almost every project, and I recommend it. All right, let's move on. Remember last week I was making a head? This guy right here? So this, I pulled a pattern off of the life cast I have and made this. And it's okay. But some things I don't like about it. The neck position, you can see, is tipped up. When we life cast my brother, his head was tilted back. So the head, no matter really how I position it, the chin is always up. Even if I tilt it down, the neck swoops out a lot. So I didn't like that. But also it was just too unplanned. It's too, I don't know how to describe it. I didn't like it, so I made another one. This one is a little more generic shaped. The head is nice and upright. I think this would just be more useful as a generic head form for most people. This is not completed yet. This is my first draft. I will remake this. Basically, I made a 3D model, a low poly head, and then I dumped that into Pepakura Designer, and I made some Pepakura templates, some patterns. Let me show you real quick. These are my patterns. It's essentially rows of polygons that have been trimmed out, and then I cut all of these out twice for the left and right to make this head. The pattern is something I want to sell for other people to use, and this is just far too complex. Obviously, it makes a pretty good end result, but I need to take this and simplify it. And I'll do that by taking this completed head form, wrapping half of it in tape, and then drawing out new seams. Drawing them out in areas where I think it makes sense to get the same end result. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Some thoughts. The nose, it turned out okay. I think it's fine, but it's hollow under there. I think what I'm going to do is cut the nose off and then pattern the head without the nose, and then you just make a separate nose to glue on. I think that's way easier than how I did it. It's kind of hard to tell, but if you look on the inside, yeah, there's a whole cavity for the nose. So anyway, time for an update on my head situation. So here is the current state. Just for a quick recap, first try, meh. Second try, much better. In the 3D model, I modeled the nose on there, a very low poly nose, but I ended up making it completely separate. This is just a piece of foam that gets stuck on there, and I think it worked out really well. I have since finished this with the final seam line. So if you look, you can kind of see all the panel lines. That's from the Pepakura model that I put together. I took this and I made a new version. So see how the seams are a little bit tidier, they make a little bit more sense, and there are much fewer seams. There aren't as many seams on this one. Same thing with the nose, just a piece of foam that's bent to go over there, but it works really well. The ears poke out a little bit, so if you want to put your glasses on there, you can, burp, like that. This head is actually a tiny bit too big. For me, anyway. I need to scale the final patterns down 92%, I think. I have notes. I'll go check them. Just make this a little bit smaller so it'll fit me. And then I figure what I'll do is I'll include a conversion chart in the final PDFs for this pattern so that people can take the measurement of the circumference of their head and they will know how to scale the print down so that the pattern will fit roughly their size of head. That'll all be in the final thing. So basically it's this, just various different sizes. I think that'll be great because folks could print one out for their kid or for them or their wife or significant other of whatever kind. And make a head that's roughly decent enough to work on helmets. Got a helmet here. This is the first Boba Fett helmet I did. It's a little big, but you can see how that would work. And then I figure you could hot glue this down to a piece of wood or something or put it on a Lazy Susan so it'll spin around. So that's the update on the head. I'm really proud of this. I'm glad I took the time to make a second one. This would have been okay, but this just feels to me like a real product, a real thing. It's also going to be a lot easier for the beginner to put together and assemble. And when I put this up as a product to buy, the pattern, I'm thinking it's going to be like $5. And then I'll have a video that just shows how to put the whole thing together so that everyone knows what they're getting themselves into. So yeah, that's my head pattern. I spent an extra day or two on this, more than I thought I would, which always is a bummer in the moment because I spent like a day making this head and it only turned out okay. And then I had to spend another couple days to make this one. But now that it's done, I can safely say that it was worth it, and I hope this is something that people find useful. I think that'll do it from the shop this week. I had a lot of fun. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and seeing what we've got going on. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We'll be happy to get back to you. We are working on more Mando helmets this week. I got a bunch going on there. I've got the Mandalorian right there, and then just behind it is Boba Fett, and we're just slowly chipping away at those. And we'll have an update on that project at the end of this week. So I'm hoping that you're looking forward to that because it's going to be really cool. We'll have a lot of progress to show off on Friday. So more later this week. Other than that, as always, thanks so much for the support. Couldn't do it without you guys. Hope you enjoy the behind the scenes here on these various projects that we're working on. Hit myself in the face. And that's going to do it for me in the shop. Thanks again for hanging out, and we'll see you in just a few days. Keep making stuff. Keep being awesome.